This is my audience. Everybody wave. This is Mark, Chris, Mary, and Julie.
And Dan.
Can you check and see if I'm in the middle of the picture, please? And Dan.
Mark has to leave.
No, we can.
Yes, you're just off center a little bit. You would go that way. Yep, they're good.
Okay. Antabuse, or technically called disulfiram, produces a sensitivity to alcohol resulting in a highly unpleasant reaction. This includes flushing, throbbing in the head and neck, respiratory difficulty, nausea, copious vomiting, sweating, thirst, chest pain, palpitations, hypertension, hypotension, marked uneasiness, weakness, vertigo, blurred vision, and confusion. In severe reactions, there may be respiratory depression, cardiovascular collapse, arrhythmias, myocardial infarction, acute congestive heart failure, unconsciousness, convulsions, and even death. These side effects also include liver damage and hepatitis. According to medicinenet.com, disulfiram has been reported to cause acute hepatitis and in rare cases can lead to acute liver failure and liver transplantation. The reason I started my speech with this information is to expose the dangers of a drug that is administered in Allen County for second DWI offenders by a nonprofit company called the Alcohol Abuse Deterrent Program, or AADP for short. This program was started on August 10, 1989. The board of directors when AADP came into existence were the Honorable Judge Ryan, Dr. Robert Hunter, psychologist, Dr. Nina King-Smith, and Paul J. Arnold. This is according to the Indiana Secretary of State. The law passed in 1992 states the Circuit Court of a county may establish an alcohol abuse deterrent program after the county's fiscal body attempts a resolution approving the program. The program must provide treatment of individuals who have been convicted of one or more violations with disulfiram or a similar substance that the court determines is an effective chemical deterrent to the use of alcohol. The law raises alarming questions due to the fact it only addresses chemical deterrents. After further research, there are other chemical deterrents and non-chemical deterrents to protect citizens from repeat offenders. The Journal-Gazette editorial published December 3rd stated that an inquiry should be made into the practices of AADP. A serious self-examination should be made beyond wrongdoing and mismanagement since the board asked the executive director, Terry Yeater, to step down. Questions about the program's cost have long circulated. According to IRS documents, Yeater earned $73,000 in 2006, and contracts for medical and legal services totaled more than $319,000. According to an article published in 1999, Idaho Observer, the original document and the Articles of Incorporation filed with the Indiana Secretary of State, or AADP, states a corporation is organized to operate exclusively for charitable, educational, and scientific purposes. More specifically, to coordinate with local authorities and the courts in the development of alternatives to imprisonment for those people pleading or found guilty of substance abuse-related offenses. But the real purpose and practice of AADP is to force people to take disulfiram, or its popular name, Antabuse. Many of these people are required to start the program even before being convicted. According to sources, physicians are not prescribing the Antabuse. Cost of treatment if set to AADP for Antabuse is $50 per week, and at any given time a drug test can be given at $40 per week. Over a 3-year period of time, this amounts approximately to $7,800 in a 3-year period just for the Antabuse. If a person would have to have administered drug test every month for a 3-year period, the amount would be an additional $1,440. This doesn't count into the medical problems caused by ant abuse. In 1999, AADP totaled an estimated gross income of $2,221,250. This should shed some light on just how much money is involved. Two questions come to mind with this financial information. Could there be alternatives to administering a toxic drug to offenders? And is there a conflict of interest since Judge Ryan sits on the board of directors and also convicts second DWI offenders to this program? Alternatives to the administering of a toxic chemical such as ant abuse are as follows. Camprol. Although it's not completely understood how Camprol works in the brain to help maintain alcohol abstinence, but it is believed to restore chemical balance in the brain that is disrupted by long-term or chronic alcohol abuse. And according to the FDA, it was generally well tolerated in clinical trials. While there are side effects, they were generally mild and not as severe as the use of ant abuse, according to the website alcoholicsabout.com. Another chemical alternative is the drug naltrexone. This drug reduces cravings for alcohol many dependent people experience when quitting drinking. Scientists believe it works by affecting the neural pathways in the brain where the neurotransmitter dopamine is found. Side effects are also said to be usually mild and temporary, but they list just as Camprol: stomachache, nervousness, anxiety, or muscle and joint pain. These chemicals could be administered, but I believe that there are better alternatives in prescribing drugs to people, alcoholic or not, who have been convicted of a second DWI offense. Some of these measures include suspension of a person's license for a year or more, depending on the factors surrounding the offense, such as blood alcohol level, if an accident has occurred, or other extenuating circumstances. There's a new product out. It's called the Alcohol Sensing House Arrest Ankle Bracelet. This is a new product which has sensors in the ankle bracelet to detect consumption of alcohol through the skin. The bracelet also keeps track using a GPS system to monitor where and when the offender has been. Then there is the steering wheel alcohol lock. The device checks the alcohol consumption via the skin and prevents the vehicle from starting or running if the driver is over the legal limit. There are also ignition interlocks, which are in place in 47 states. Mothers Against Drunk Driving endorsed these for first-time offenders, and the National District Attorneys Association stated these interlocks have been shown to reduce drunk driving by 45 to 90%, according to an article written by stateline.org. In closing, I think AADP needs to reevaluate their statement of purpose to develop alternatives to imprisonment for those persons plead or found guilty of substance abuse related offenses. The courts in Allen County need to reevaluate a system which requires them to send offenders to only one organization with questionable ties to the court system itself. That ends.